a bunch of my friends from the city played at U of A, and I'm at Southwest Terminal getting ready to fly to Tucson, and I got my celly, and I called the coach, and I told Dick Tomey, I'm like, you know what, coach, man, I'm just going to go to USC. I don't even want to waste your time. And I hung up, and I just called USC coach. I'm like, man, I'm coming. I ain't got time to play with these other. Because, you want to take trips and do all of that, but then I just didn't want to get on the plane. I'm like, nah, Tucson ain't for me. I'm good. I'm just going to go to SC and stay home.
See, that's dope. Yeah. Home is where the heart is. Yo, welcome to another episode of In a Minute with Evan Lovett, coming to you live from the IM studios in the heart of Los Angeles. And I'm here with one of my, I don't want to say childhood idols and overplay it, but a guy that I looked up to even as a UCLA alum. But this USC legend, Keyshawn Johnson, is in the house. NFL legend, most importantly, and why he's here, LA legend, Dorsey High, USC, spent some time at Palisades, spent some time at West LA, West LA College, Super Bowl champion, Rose Bowl Hall of Famer, host of Speak on FS1, 800 something receptions in the NFL, 66 touchdowns in the NFL, and the last wide receiver to be drafted number 1 overall.
Yeah, it was a little bit more than 66, but that's okay. I did run the ball on the ground and score a couple touchdowns. And
listen,
I do add those.
Okay.
To the then
nobody's counting though. Who's counting though? No. But listen, Keyshawn Johnson, thank you for being here, man. I appreciate you. This is exciting, man, because listen, you guys know I'm sports first and foremost. I'm LA history, culture, legacy, but my heart is sports. I was a sports guy growing up more than I was anything. And honestly, going to UCLA, I'm not even gonna say begrudgingly. I watched this guy dominate, although UCLA beat
I know, I never beat UCLA.
But dude, talk about the Cotton Bowl, talk about the Rose Bowl, talk about big games. This guy showed up every single time. But I ripped
UCLA, I just couldn't beat him. Like, I literally ripped him, but I couldn't beat him.
And that was an interesting era for USC. This ain't the USC of Pete Carroll or before this. It was a different USC era. But before we get into this, I got to give a shout out to my sponsor, Ardo Brick, based in Gardena, manufacturing in Los Angeles, jobs, and more importantly, they do rehabilitation and renovation of historic legacy sites in LA, Union Station, Mariachi Plaza, Olvera Street. They do, you know what they do?
I haven't been to Olvera Street since, God, man, when last time was at Olvera Street? I haven't been on Olvera Street in quite some time.
You want to hear something funny, man? This is the truth about Olvera Street. When I was a kid and
I used to
growing
go
up,
all the time as a kid.
I thought it was like touristy.
No, I thought it was cool as a kid.
It's super cool.
My mom used to take me down there to get the Mexican food right in the little the little concourse area that it's where the shops are. The little
of course, Cielito Lindo, all those spots right there, dude. Cielito Lindo from Juanusco, which is where my wife's parents is from, by the way. But Olvera Street, they do the bricks. Ardo Brick, just to get back to that, when they need to like match the bricks of the 18th century, 19th century,
the red brick
they
and
do
stuff.
it right there in LA. Like, so manufacturing jobs in LA. Shout out Ardo Brick. But dude, Keyshawn Johnson, thank you for coming in. I appreciate you, man. LA legend, first and foremost. I think the story for me is the fact that you had, and these are stories that I love.
Yeah.
Upbringing with obstacles, with difficulties, with challenges. Can you talk to me about that? Aside from being one of 6 children, which in itself is a
gotta find somewhere to sleep
situation. Tell me about that. Where did you grow up? What are your early memories?
I grew up in South Central Los Angeles, which was changed to South Los Angeles. Shortly after the LA riots. Because it had such a stain on South Central LA, so we kind of changed the name to South LA when some development was done in the early 90s. So I grew up. My mom had 6 kids. I'm the youngest of 6.
Oh, you're the baby.
Grew up literally at a stone throw across the street from USC.
Okay.
Used to sit on top of the apartment buildings to watch USC's baseball games. at night and the whole deal, and go run through the campus because the campus was open, wasn't gates and all that shit. It was just you just free flow through it.
Different era, man.
Different era, different time. Didn't grow up with a silver spoon in my mouth. Worked for everything I had. Challenges along the way, like you mentioned, because of the upbringing. When you grow up in poverty in South Los Angeles, in that time frame, it was either the streets, drugs. You know, you're either gonna sell drugs to make money, you're gonna rob, you're gonna do things to.
And this is the 80s.
This is the
right?
80s.
This is the
80s, early 90s.
Where this is listen, and I'm a white kid from the Valley, make no bones about it. What we heard, what I knew, I'm going to be honest with you.
I used to be in the Valley, though.
Watching Boys in the Hood, Menace to Society, all those kind of movies. You know, you're like, oh, shit, I guess that's what life is like in South Central.
That is correct.
Was that what life was like?
Very good, I guess, very good observation of what.
So that was like. Real. That was.
Oh, my God, yeah.
So what was that like growing up in that?
It's just, you try to avoid the pitfalls as much as you can.
Yeah.
But sometimes you can't avoid them.
Right.
Because that's what it is.
Right.
I mean, there's nothing you can do.
You're a product of your environment. You're a product.
I've been shot twice. So for me, I get it. I understand it. Family members have been shot. Family members have gone to jail. All those things. But I get it. I understand it.
Yeah.
Because that's my environment. That's where I'm from.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that was going to shape me for the rest of my life.
Right.
So you try to figure out a much better way. You look into the streets, you see the drugs, you see you just see everything that you see in the movies is real life for me. I used to tell people, when I played ball in the pros and even in college, at some point, man, you got me fucked up. That's the first thing I say. So what I mean by that is you don't really understand. You think I'm just a guy with a helmet and a jersey and I go to class every day.
Yeah.
You don't understand the shit that I had to go through to even be able to get on the campus.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? So to me, that always shapes the players. Nothing against the suburbs.
Right.
Nothing against the suburbs.
Absolutely.
But guys in the suburbs it ain't the same as guys that play on asphalt courts. And when one light is working on the court and not all 12 lights.
Yeah.
It's just a different feel.
Let me tell you something. A very minor, shout out to my wife. My wife's from Sylmar. But when one of her first jobs was working after school care in the Valley, right? And she would tell me, and sometimes she's in Pacoima, sometimes she's in Studio City. Yeah. And she'd be like, I got to tell you, the kids are so different when you're in Pacoima, San Fernando, Sylmar than they are in Encino, Sherman Oaks.
I've been in all those areas, trust me.
Studio City. And she's like, they're more self-sufficient. They're tougher. She's like, it's a different story. The kids out here in the nicer parts are, tattletale, blah, blah, blah. They need more stuff.
Different, though.
It's
not that it's an upbringing. It's not that they're tattletelling or anything like that. It's just a different mentality.
Right.
And a different upbringing, right? Like at the end of the day, if they were Kyle, what is it called? Kyle, how do you say it? Kyle Chambers? I think I'm saying it right. The ice baths, so to speak. If those were around back in the day, the people out in the Valley be getting into the Kyle Chambers.
Right.
We had to get in the trash cans and fill it up with ice and water.
Wow.
Okay. Versus actually getting into those things. So it's just a different deal. When we go home after workouts, we stop it at McDonald's, Burger King. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? And getting the Happy Meal at 16 years old, opposed to going home and there's filet mignon.
A good post-workout meal.
It's just different.
Okay. So
There's
now,
a lot of different ways to make it in life.
Let me ask you this. You got in some trouble when you were a kid. You spent some time in a youth facility.
Actually, what's so funny is I was in Sylmar. You mentioned your wife is in Sylmar. From Sylmar, there's a juvenile hall in Sylmar.
Absolutely.
So I was I spent maybe 3 to 4 months in Sylmar before I was moved to another facility.
Really?
I was in Sylmar before.
Okay, so you were getting in trouble. What was that like? What did that do to you?
It didn't necessarily do anything to me except say that I didn't want to be incarcerated for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
So when you're growing up, the stuff that I was doing, when you get to 18, it becomes even more serious.
Yeah, of course.
So now you gotta strike while the iron is hot, before you turn 18.
Yeah.
Because when you turn 18 and you get caught, they're going to throw away the fucking key.
It's real.
So it was like one of those deals where it was like, okay, I'm going to do all of this because I got to survive out here. I got to help my mother. I got to survive. But once I get to the point where I'm 18 years old, man, I got to shut it down. I can't be out here.
You knew this. You knew this.
Oh, I knew this
consciously.
100%. Conscious. Yeah, for sure. 1,000%.
Can I ask you an honest question?
Yeah.
Were you like fucking around? Were you like, I'm going to do this and take advantage?
100%. 1,000%.
That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah, well, so when I was in high school,
yeah,
I could have gone to any school in the world.
Okay.
Any school. It was the number one this, the number one. I was like one of those guys.
Yeah.
The one-of-ones. But academically,
yeah,
it wasn't that I couldn't do it. That wasn't my focus. I didn't apply myself. You know what I'm saying? Because they wasn't paying me in high school. I wasn't gonna get no money. You know what I'm saying?
Different
so
era,
I'm playing football.
Yeah.
I'm playing football, basketball, baseball, but in get my time off, I'm going to try to figure out how to get my money and get my hustle on.
Yeah.
And so then as I got older, I said to myself, I said, man, you know what? I'm getting ready to go to JUCO. I'm either gonna sink or swim. Yeah. But I got to get my pockets heavy before I go to JUCO.
Yeah.
So I went and did whatever I need to do to get my pockets heavy. In junior college, I didn't have a car.
Right.
I shut it down. I just because I had a car in high school and everything. I had a nice cars. I had 280 ZXs, BMWs. You see what I'm saying? Sterlings. I had whips.
Yeah.
And people just be like, damn, he got a whip. You know, it was a different deal. So I just shut it all the way down in JUCO and got my money up. And I paid for my apartment out, just all of it. I just paid for it. Boom. Right now I'm done. And I used to walk from around, I had an apartment around the corner in Culver City from the school. And I used to just walk to and from the school every single day. And I said, I'm going to sink or swim. Either I'm going to fucking make it or I'm not. And if I don't make it, then.
Where did this mentality come from though?
Friends of mine started going to jail. Like, I like to call them my crimies.
Yeah.
They started getting hit and going to jail.
Right.
Like left and right, going to jail and getting serious time.
Yeah.
10 and 15 years. And they, I'm like, man, I ain't about to do that shit. It's over. And they were like a year older than me, couple years older than me. And I'm like, I'm getting ready to push up on that age. I'm done. I'm about to hit this last, I'm done. I'm gonna get this last bag, and I'm finished. And then I'm gonna sit my ass down, and I'm gonna work on my academics, and I'm gonna work on my game, and then I'm just gonna go to the next level from there.
Your mom, your siblings, good influence, like positive.
No, they great influence. But what can they tell? It's not when you grow up in a black household, with a single parent household trying to raise 6 kids. It's very difficult. For moms,
one kid is difficult.
It's very difficult for moms to be able to navigate everybody.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it's just difficult.
Of course.
It's so difficult. And so even though she was supportive growing up, she was my it was so funny because I was watching my wife play basketball with my son while I was at home. I like been Netflix binging today.
Okay.
I probably watched 10 hours of Netflix so far today. It's just crazy, right? It was crazy. So I'm watching.
One of those days,
I'm
man.
looking out
go.
I was in my area where I watched the TV room, and the basketball court is right there. And so I happened to just look out the window, kind of just looked in, and she was out there playing with him. And I was just, it kind of made me remember my mom, because my mother was my team manager in baseball and always would throw the baseball.
Wow.
She would be in catching when I was pitching and
the
whole deal.
Come
Swear to
on.
God. BP, she would throw me BP, basketball, all that sort. And it was a trip that my wife was out there doing that with my son.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
How
a
old's your
trip.
son?
He's 12.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Play sports?
Yeah. Yeah, he's going to basketball now. He's
your son play baseball?
No, he doesn't like it.
Hold on, I got it. This wasn't in my pre-planned question, but I just learned that you were a big-time baseball player too.
I play baseball.
You guys know that's my heart and soul. So you were a legit baseball player.
I think I was legit.
Dude, that makes me very fucking happy because like elite
I know what a four
athletes-
seam and a sinker and a slide and a curve. That's the one thing that I was scared of, was a curveball. I remember when I was young, Tony, is a dude named Tony who played basketball too.
Yeah.
It was really good in basketball. Went to New Mexico State when they was hot in basketball. He was a good pitcher too. He fucking threw his curveball.
Yeah.
And that thing came to me, I remember this. We was youth at this time. I might have been 11, 12, whatever. And he had a nice, and that thing came, and that thing dropped. But when it came, I swear it was gonna hit me right in the chin, and it dropped, and I jumped out of the way. And I remember everybody was like, "Oh," all the kids and stuff. It was pretty funny.
Curveball has ended many a great athlete's career in baseball.
But no, I don't know. I think for me, baseball was, I started looking at the economics of, first of all, I was good in basketball, not tall enough.
Okay.
Didn't have a pure shot.
6'3"-ish?
6'3", 6'4", but back then, didn't have a pure shot, could defend, but, it wasn't for me. Paul and them is giants. So it's like, okay, I could go play at Pepperdine. All right, yay.
Hey.
Baseball, I didn't want to sit on a bus.
Right.
For 6 years, to
in the
get
minor leagues getting
I didn't want to do that
a month or something.
No, I don't want to do that.
Yeah,
When I knew in football, I can go right now and be the number one pick.
You knew that? Okay. Glad you brought that. As a young age, when did you know you were elite? When did you know you had those hands? How did you?
Oh, in high school. But I knew growing up, I didn't play Pop Warner. We played throw up tackle on the concrete at 7 o'clock in the morning in elementary school. You know what throw up tackle is? So you throw the ball up. So it's a bunch of us, and we throw the ball up. Somebody grabs it, and they tackle you, or you go for the touchdown. And you get again, and you come out of the end zone. You go for a touchdown until somebody tackles you, and you might have 10 people scrambling around trying to do that. Yeah. But I knew then that I was gonna be good. And then once I got to high school and I started playing, it was a wrap. Because I didn't start playing football till my sophomore year.
Come on.
Because if you remember,
organized, no team, nothing before then.
Never. But you knew my sophomore year. So back then, remember when we were in school, there was no freshman. It was 10th, 11th, and 12th.
Yes.
So my sophomore year was essentially my freshman year.
Correct.
And I played corner and I played receiver, but mainly I was a corner. They really didn't throw the ball to me at receiver. But I knew that I was him. You know what I'm saying? And so as time went by, I just got better and better and more confidence. And I knew right then, I said, if I get to college, it's over. I said, if I get to a 4-year university, it's going to be a wrap. And even to the point where coming out of high school, many people don't know this, and it may sound crazy to you. But coming out of high school, I was either going to go to junior college, or I was going to go to Canada and play out of high school.
CFL. CFL.
But after start looking at all of the economics and the different stuff and stuff like that, I was just like, no, I'm just going to go to JUCO. Because Mervin Fernandez did it from the Raiders. Okay. He went from high school to Canada.
Wow. Okay.
And he did it, and he was in Canada for several years and then finally got picked up by the Raiders. But I was thinking about doing it because Steve Clarkson, who is the quarterback expert guru.
One of the early gurus.
So we worked out, I was working out with Todd Marinovich and stuff. And so Steve, and many people, this is the first time I really even told this story. You're the only person that's ever really gotten this story. So Steve and I went to Orange County, and I was working out with Todd. And Todd was working out for the pros, for the NFL people. And some Canadian scouts were there too. Okay. And they're just looking and shit. And the NFL dudes was like, oh my God. He's like this high school kid.
Right.
And so I'm like, but I couldn't go to the league. And they were trying to pursue me to think about going to Canada. But I'm like, ain't no real money, man. You talking about $80,000? I ain't going over there for that.
Right.
I got that in my account right now.
And you knew your worth.
I knew my worth. And I'm like, I got 80 racks in my account right now. And I'm in high school. I'm good. And so I wound up going to JUCO. And then from junior college, I go to SC. And then I wanted to stay rather than come out early, which I could have came out early, but a top 5 pick. I wanted to stay to graduate. I wanted to graduate from school. So when I went home to my mother's apartment on Van Nuys Boulevard, I went to her and I said, you know what? I'm thinking about coming out. What do you want me to do? And my mom was like, I've been broke for all this time. 6 more months ain't gonna, I could wait 6 more months. So I said, fuck it, I'm gonna go back to school and graduate.
Good job.
And I took out the insurance policy, and I was good.
I don't want to go out of chronological order. But I gotta know.
Y'all can edit it up.
How'd you end up at Palisades High? I heard you were at Palisades High.
So back then, the busing system.
Oh fuck. Dude,
got me. So it was a busing system, and so from Audubon Junior High, you could go to several different schools in the Valley.
Yeah.
And so one of the schools on the list was Pacific Palisades.
Yeah.
But I was living in the Valley already.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Nobody knew this, that I was living in Panorama City. Yes. Nobody knew it. Because I was driving to Dorsey every day. I had an address, my cousin's address, and I was using the address to go to Dorsey. And
Why?
Because that's just because I didn't live there. I lived in the Valley.
Okay.
And that's what it was.
Yeah.
And so I had a bunch of friends from Audubon Junior High that went to Palisades. And I didn't want to go to Crenshaw. At the time, I didn't want to go to Dorsey. I didn't want to go to Manual. I wanted to get out of the inner city and see a different part of the world.
Okay.
So originally, I leave Audubon.
Yeah.
I check into Montclair Prep.
Dude, Van Nuys, like athletic powerhouse.
So I go to Montclair.
Brad Fulmer.
All in Brad Fulmer, baseball, Cook, Toy, and all those dudes.
Cook, yeah.
And so I check in
Keon
there.
Cook,
Keon, his brother.
Yeah.
I check in there. And I'm sitting in the classroom, and I'm like really the only cool dude there, right? Everybody else is like, rich, white, cornball, black dudes. It's like, that ain't for me.
Okay.
I was there for like 3 days.
Okay.
And I just abruptly left, and I didn't have a school to go to.
Okay.
And then I had friends that went to Palisades. Man, you should come to Pally, dog. I'm like, I know, huh? So I go to Palisades.
Wow.
And then from Pally, I just was there too. And I'm like, man, this really ain't for me. That's not my environment. I love the girls. I love doing all that and, hanging out and staying at their house when their parents is is gone away for a month and a half in Europe. And I'm doing the whole damn thing, right? And I just said, man, when the school year was over, I'm like, man, I'm out of here. I'm going to Dorsey.
Wow.
And we played Dorsey in the playoffs we played Dorsey in the quarterfinals. I think it was either quarters or the semis or whatever.
Wait,
it was.
When you were at Palisades?
When I was at Palisades.
Come on,
and everybody, all my boys is on Dorsey team too. And they like, what the fuck are you doing? I said, I know, man. They like, man, you better get your ass over here with us and stop playing with these people. And I was like, checked out and went to Dorsey.
So you played sports. You were playing at Pally.
Yeah, I played baseball, basketball, and football at Pally.
Wow. Yeah. Okay, so then you went to Dorsey.
Then went to Dorsey.
All right, what was the scene like? You get back as a senior, right?
Yeah,
it was just for your senior year. You're getting recruited?
Heavy.
Like, how did that?
Heavy.
Why'd you end up going to JC?
Because I had the grades.
Okay.
I just didn't have the grades.
Honestly, were you not giving a fuck? Because I know you're a smart
guy. I didn't care. I wasn't focused in on that. The things that I was doing would blow your mind. You would be sitting there and go, huh? Like I would leave Pally at 3:00. Let's say it's not football. I don't have anything basketball. Let's say I leave Palisades. I'll go meet up with my homies. And then we just go and figure it out.
Yeah.
And then the next day, I go back to school. I was like, I was a modern day Robin Hood. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
As a kid.
Fair enough.
That's just what it was. I ain't,
people grow up mature.
Man, look, I ain't shy about it at all. When you're a kid and you growing up in certain environments and people don't understand that in the world, then they fucked up. They don't get it in general.
That's fair.
And all my friends, all my buddies and friends and stuff, they knew what time it was because they knew I grew up in the streets. So me having a 280ZX with T-tops, they wasn't even tripping. They like, he getting his money. They already knew what it was. Oh, yeah.
Did you know at that time? What were your goals? Were you like, I'm going to go to the league?
Well, my goals at that time, I was being recruited by everybody.
Yeah.
Even at Palisades. That's where it started.
Wow.
It started at Palisades. I was being heavily recruited. But I didn't have the grades. So when they come and they recruit you, one of the first things they do is they stop at the administrative offices,
right,
and they pull the grades,
and
then they come watch practice and talk to the coaches and do all that. And it was so tense that everybody knew, like, man, he's fucking good, but he ain't got no grades. It's like, he's just bright, he's smart, but he doesn't have any grades. Yeah. He doesn't go to class. Like I would go to school.
He's not applying himself.
I would go to school and get the 2.0 to be eligible and be like, that's all I care about. I don't care about all that. Put me in fucking whatever, just because I can play sports.
Yeah.
You're young, you're not really understanding the magnitude of the decisions that you're making at that point in time.
Yeah.
And so what happens in that situation and this happens to a lot of kids in the LA area, is you learn as you go, as you get older, and your eyes open up to bigger and brighter things and bigger and brighter future. So once that happens and I go to Dorsey, my recruitment shoots up even more.
Yeah.
And then I go to junior college, but those people are still like, he's at JUCO. He's right down the street. We know where he's at. He's placed there. Boom.
Yeah.
We good. Because there were schools that wanted to take me and put me in other states to go to JUCO to hide me. Yeah. But I'm like, no, but I'm cool. I'm stay at the crib.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, you can coach. We'll put you in Spokane, Washington. We got you. I'm like, no, I'm good. I don't want to go to UW. I'm good.
Panhandle.
Yeah,
Go
to Southwest Mississippi. We got you.
Yeah.
You can go to Alabama. We're guaranteeing. And I'm like, no, I'm good. Go to Navarro, Texas. We got you. UT's got you. I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm gonna stay right here.
Hold on. I got to take a time in that point. What was your relationship like with LA? When you
my LA relationship is sick. I mean, like, just stupid.
Where were you running? What were your favorite neighborhoods as a kid in that era? Like, where were you hanging out? What
Westwood.
Yeah.
The Village.
Oh, wow. All right. Yeah.
I was a part, not me personally, but I was there during the whole New Jack City riots. I was at the theater that time frame.
Okay.
So it was LA, it was Westwood. And then basically where I grew up at, the furthest west we would probably go would be the Promenade in Santa Monica.
Okay.
So
what were your
Santa Monica, Venice, Marina Del Rey, wrapped back around through Westwood. That was kind of our dream, so to speak. If you make it, you're going to be in that area.
Yeah, same here, by the way. And that's why I went to UCLA. What? Your mom was on Van Nuys Boulevard.
Yeah,
what did you think of the Valley?
My mom lived on Van Nuys my sophomore, from my sophomore year on. We were in that particular area of the Valley.
What'd you think?
It was cool. I didn't have a problem with the Valley.
Hell yeah.
No, Valley was fine.
Valley got it through and through. Come on,
Valley was fine because you see different things. You know, it's a different world.
Yeah, and a lot of what I liked about the Valley, different cultures. Like I always say this, my homeroom. I went to Holmes Junior High. I don't know if you.
I know Holmes.
Okay, so Egyptian, Korean, Ugandan, Persian, Armenian, Jewish, and as a kid, you don't.
Yeah,
it doesn't resonate like that, but like in retrospect, you're like, that's pretty special.
Yeah.
And that's LA right there. Okay, let's talk about USC. How'd you end up at USC? Why'd you pick USC over anybody else?
Well, originally out of high school, I committed to the University of Miami, but I couldn't qualify.
Really?
So then when I went to junior college.
Luke Skywalker University of Miami?
Yeah, it was a Luke Skywalker University of Miami.
Okay.
And so after that, I committed to UW. They go on probation. Coach Erickson leaves Miami. Okay. UW goes on probation. Now I'm like all screwed up. So now I got to go to JUCO. So now when I go to junior college, I'm playing. Larry Smith gets fired at USC. John Robinson comes back.
OG John Robinson.
And Washington goes on probation. I didn't want to go to Colorado, Nebraska, none of those schools. I looked at Cal for a minute. But it was always USC because I grew up across the street. That was a lifelong dream. But in high school, Larry Smith wasn't keen on recruiting inner city kids the way that JR or Pete Carroll was. Okay. He wasn't keen on it. He wanted the suburbs. And that's where SC kind of took a dip because they heavy suburban, it was taking like 5 dudes out of Montclair Prep in a single class. It's like, those dudes will never play. Well, and so it was one of those deals. And so when I got to JUCO, I flirted with some schools and stuff. And at the end of the day, I'm at the airport. At the time, Desert Storm was going on at Arizona. Remember they called it Desert Swarm.
Yeah.
And so Desert Swarm was going on to Arizona. So a bunch of my friends from the city played at U of A. And I'm at Southwest Terminal getting ready to fly to Tucson. And I got my celly. And I called the coach and I told Dick Tomey, I'm like, you know what, coach, man, I'm just going to go to USC. I don't even want to waste your time. And I hung up and I just called USC coach. I'm like, man, I'm coming. I ain't got time to play with these other. Because, you want to take trips and do all of that. But then I just didn't want to get on the plane. I'm like, nah, Tucson ain't for me. I'm good. I'm just going to go to SC and stay home.
See, that's dope. Yeah. Home is where the heart is. And is it true you were a ball boy for USC growing up?
Yeah, as a kid, when I was young, I was hanging out at the campus a lot, and they just deemed me and a couple of my boys as their bat boys, ball boys, and the whole deal. Like I tell this story all the time. You'll never meet a single kid or a single person
Yeah.
that has ever warmed up Randy Johnson, pitched BP to Mark McGwire, and warmed up Jack Del Rio. You'll never meet another kid that was able to do that in one single slope.
You remember that? You were doing
like
that?
a heartbeat. Yeah, in a heartbeat.
Was that under Rod Dato?
That was under Dato, yeah, Coach D, yeah.
Damn, so you were a legit baseball guy, dude. This is dope. All right.
It's so, because if you run into any of those dudes down, they'll tell you, they'll be like, oh yeah, Key, that's my guy.
Man, you want to talk to you. If you were intimidated by Tony's curveball, step in the box against Randy Johnson.
I'm warming up Randy Johnson in college.
Yeah.
I'm literally warming him up. I'm warming up Jack Del Rio.
Yeah.
In the same thing with Mark McGwire. Now, obviously, Big Mac was a little skinnier and the whole deal,
Right. I see that. Okay, give me real quick. Let's go through your time at USC. You were dominant from day one. Spent 2 years there. Fantastic years. I mean, again, Rose Bowl MVP, Cotton Bowl MVP, numbers off the charts. What was USC like as a student, especially somebody from LA growing up there?
Man,
hometown hero to the core.
It was cool, man, because and I'm not oblivious to who I am and what I meant to the city and what I mean to the city.
Yep.
When you become like this LA legend, you're like a folk hero almost. Like, it's a dream for many kids that grew up in South Los Angeles. When I was playing, the tunnel where we come out of, if you're facing the tunnel and you're looking at it on the right side of the tunnel, at least the first 20 rows was all my neighborhood that I grew up in watching the games. Academically, it wasn't a challenge at all because I already applied myself. I wasn't even worried about the academic side of it because I'm older now, more mature. I get it, I understand it, I know where I want to be in life. But it was a sweet moment. I mean, I could go home and get food from my auntie and my mom, or they would come to my apartment or whatever, and I didn't have to go to school 10,000 miles away or nothing weird, right? I'm literally down the street. My barber that I had as a kid, right down the street. So I had a lot of friends and would come to practice literally every single day and watch us practice because campus was open. Our football practice was open to the public. Yeah. That was the way John Robinson was. It was just, you could just come to our practice where, we would only close it to UCLA and Notre Dame. Other than that, our practice was open to the public and people could come and watch and do the whole damn thing. You know who my roommate was in college?
No.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Kareem, the football player, or Kareem,
the football player.
Really?
Yeah. We went to Dorsey together. That was my running back.
Really?
That was one of my running backs. My other running back was Michael Black from Washington State.
Really?
So me and Kareem lived in Culver City. So when he went to UCLA, I went to West
Old
LA.
School Culver City too. Yeah. Before Culver City was Culver City now. It was
we had roaches and shit.
Dude, Culver City, I used to say like this, Culver City.
We lived off of Kingston Court in Jefferson. Yeah, we lived in all the apartments stacked up against each other. Literally, we had roaches. I used to be so mad.
Culver City and Palms. It used to be the same. One was to the left, one was to the right, and they were the same thing. Now Culver City's like this whole renaissance.
Yeah, that was my roommate, and UCLA didn't even recruit me. You know why they didn't recruit me? Because I wore an earring. And they said they didn't want kid. They said that I would have to take my. I said, man, please, y'all ain't got a shot anyway.
Was that Donahue or
that was Terry?
Would you have had that conversation though if they would have recruited you?
I told Wayne Moses, the running back coach, that I'm not going to UCLA because I'm not taking out my earring. It's not happening. I don't even want y'all offer. Never mind.
What a different era.
Yeah, but SC was fun, man. It was the whole thing, the roll, the 9-0, the 3-2.
Margarita Jones, 2-9.
Julie. See, you remember this Margarita Jones. Yeah. Margarita Jones was in front of Julie's. Julie's was behind Margarita Jones. But yes, Margarita Jones, Julie's, the 2-9, the 3-2, the 9-0, all that, yeah.
Listen, so UCLA, not a good place to party. Like, I used to always say this, right? UCLA had stand around and talk parties, right? Where it was like...
UCLA was fun. It was fun for me because I used to go over there and take all the girls, so it was all right.
Honestly, true story, and like I'm saying, but we used to party at USC.
Yeah,
That's where it was. USC. That was where it was like, okay. At USC, at what point, and you knew your talent, you knew your ability, when were you like, I might be the number one pick?
I knew that going back after my junior year.
As a receiver.
Yeah,
as
I
a
knew
receiver.
that. I knew it was over. I said I'm be the number 1 pick. It's over. That's the only reason why I'm going back to school, because I could have been a top 5 pick.
Wow. Okay.
I could have went in the 5th spot instead of Michael Westbrook. It could have been me to the Washington Commanders or Redskins at the time.
Yeah.
But I wind up staying in school.
Yeah.
Because Norv Turner had told me. Norv said, he said, if you come out, we're going to take you at 5 if you're there.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I'm cool. I'm going to graduate and stay in school. And then once I said I was going to graduate and stay in school, I knew I would be the number 1 pick, because Coach Robinson and Coach Riley said they was going to do everything to make sure that I was the number 1 pick. They were going to feed me till the cows come home. And if you notice that year, I had 100 and something catches, whatever, Rose Bowl MVP. They put an emphasis to make sure that they lived up to that promise for me.
That's pretty dope.
Yeah.
What did that feel like, being the number 1 pick?
I mean, it was shit. I was him. I mean, I don't really know. I mean, I guess I was the guy. You know what I'm saying?
But what does that feel like, dude?
Man, I don't really know, because I've been a guy my whole life. So it was one of those deals where I'm rich and I'm good. I made a lot of money. I take care of my family now.
You call your mom, you call your siblings?
No, everybody was there with me. We was all, shit, it was like 30, I want to say it was about 32 of us went to the draft.
You remember your mom's reaction or no?
No, she was on the stage with me celebrating, but everybody was happy, you know. Everybody was happy.
Okay.
But we knew, as soon as the Rose Bowl was over,
yeah,
I signed with my agent.
Who's your agent, by the way?
Jerome Stanley.
Okay.
I signed with my agent. I signed with Adidas.
Yeah.
And I think Topps trading cards and Oakley. I made more money the night of the Rose Bowl than I did my first year in the NFL.
Wow. Okay.
Because of my shoe contract, all that stuff.
Yeah,
and then I had a party at Kevin Costner's restaurant in Pasadena that night.
What was his restaurant?
It was the Palm. It was called the Palm.
Kevin Costner?
Yeah.
I didn't
Kevin
know that.
Costner had a
LA
restaurant.
guy. You know he's from Compton, right?
Yeah. He had a restaurant
Compton guy.
at the Palm. I mean, in Pasadena, called the Palm. Wow. And it was fucking on fire. Like, it was hot and stuff. Yeah, I had a big celebration at that thing, signed my Adidas deal, the whole deal. So I knew, I'm like, at this point, based on the Rose Bowl, I'm going to be the number 1 pick. I'm not even tripping. And so I think even at my press conference, I said something along the lines of, I guess there won't be any debate about the number 1 pick now. And I just kind of, yeah.
Okay, let's talk about this real quick. You've always been brash, outspoken, confident. Has that worked against you? Or how do you feel? Or do you care?
I really don't care.
Yeah.
See, people don't understand. There's certain things don't bother me, because everybody has an opinion.
Yeah.
And you know, you got an opinion, everybody got an opinion, so it doesn't, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I always tell people, I could do everything you do. You can't do what I did.
Yeah.
But I know I can do what you do.
Right.
You know,
right.
That's one of the things I used to tell the sports people all the time. I said, I can write a book. I've written many books. This was before I even wrote books.
Yeah.
I tell them, I say, they get to talk crazy. I said, I can do what you do. Yeah. I can talk on television.
Yeah.
And I can write books.
Yeah.
You can't play football. You can't. I can do what you do.
Right.
So
right.
You can say whatever you want to say about me. And look, and some people don't like that attitude. Some people do. It just depends on how you approach it. I mean, it can be annoying to some people. Some people embrace it. I really don't give a fuck. It doesn't, because you're not going to change my lifestyle and who I am.
Right.
Not one bit.
Right.
You know, and so that's what it is.
Why are your hands so good? What was that from? When did you realize that?
I mean, I got big hands, and I just, it's all about hand-eye coordination and focus, strength.
Yeah.
That's really.
But you knew that from a young age? When you were little? When were you like, holy shit, I can catch anything thrown in my direction?
Not probably till high school.
Really?
Yeah.
And then once it clicked, you knew it.
It wasn't anything that needed to click.
But recognizing that.
It was in high school. I don't drop shit. I just couldn't. I mean, in high school, it's in one of our docs that we did.
Yeah.
When I went to Dorsey, Coach Holmes, I was over there playing summer league basketball.
Yeah.
AAU basketball, and they were out there practicing. And I went out to the practice field, and I was laughing at the receivers, and he was like saying to me, like, "Can you do better?" I said, "Man, come on, man." I said, "Please." And so I had cleats in the back of my car. I went and got the cleats out the back of my car, put them on, went out and started practicing with them after I just dropped whatever I dropped in basketball. Went out there and ran around, boom, boom, boom. And caught some balls, ran some routes, did some stuff, and he was like, "You got to transfer. He's our starting receiver." I was like, "Of course I am. Don't worry, we gonna get it figured out." That's just that's just how it was. I mean, I've always been that way though. I'm that way on TV. I feel like my show on FS1 to Speak is the best sports talk television show in the land.
Yeah,
I don't care about other shows and what other people on different platforms. Yeah, their ratings might be higher because they have a different platform. Their networks have been there 30-something years or 40 years where FS1 is still building. But if you took our show and you dropped that show on Fox, not the cables, but the Fox side,
right,
nobody would be able to touch us. And I feel that way.
You got the marketing and all that stuff pushed behind it.
Come on.
Let's talk about that for a little bit.
I know better.
Let's talk about Speak on FS1. Tell me about that. You and Paul Pierce. Paul Pierce, another LA legend. What are your thoughts? How's your relationship? Did you guys know each other from back in the day?
Yeah, we kind of
knew. You put together? Yeah,
we kind of knew each other from back in the day. And this is the first time I worked with him. When I got to FS1, he came and joined me and Skip on Undisputed at times.
Hold on, is Skip really like how he is on TV?
Same. I mean, I only dealt with him on television.
Okay.
So I don't really.
Okay.
He's always nice to me, and he has his opinions again. Yeah. Everybody has their opinions and takes and whatnot. But so Paul, me, and Joy, we're going on a year. We'll be in a year this summer on Speak, and so I came from ESPN to Undisputed, and they made some changes, moved some stuff around.
Yeah.
And then I joined Speak, and then I brought Paul and Joy along for the ride with me and have some fun because I know their personalities, and I felt like this would make great television. Not only would it make great television, I got two individuals that understand sports, know sports, could talk sports, could still have fun, could not be sensitive about certain things.
Not shy with their opinions.
Not shy with their opinions. It'd just be great television stuff. So it's fun.
How do you look at Paul? Because again, he's an LA legend. I'm going to almost say you guys are pretty equivalent as far as what you've accomplished, where you've come from, what you mean to LA.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
There's that professional and personal respect, right?
Absolutely.
That comes off on the show.
Yeah, but that's LA guys in general though.
Yeah.
LA guys in general, we're just different.
Yes.
Like we just different than dudes from the South, for the East Coast, the Midwest. Like we're just different. Like we're just totally just different. There's some things that we look at and be like, man, them dude's crazy, man. Ain't nobody, and everybody, like, nah, that ain't what we talking about. Yeah. Because we're brought up differently.
Correct.
Different region, different part of the country. That's,
something special about Los Angeles, by the way.
Yeah, we think the same, so to speak. We all kind of think the same.
Tell me this right now. What's your relationship with LA right now?
Great. I got a great relationship with LA.
Neighborhoods, where you like hanging out?
I don't really hang out much anymore though. Like I really don't hang.
You're a family man.
I'm not gonna say I'm a family man like that. I'm not gonna sell it like I don't go out. But I'm usually in the Valley, West Side. I'm a foodie, so it's like, where am I going to eat tonight? I'll go anywhere. Go to Pasadena, San Diego,
throw me some
wherever.
Food.
I'll go anywhere.
Where you been? Where's some food spots you been?
Shit, man, I've been a lot of places.
Let me tell you something. You know where I went last night? You ever heard of Anna Jack Thai?
Yeah, I had Anna Jack Thai a couple months ago. I didn't want to sit in the alley though.
So we were inside. We got lucky. No shit. We got table number 19.
Yeah.
Kid you not. Yeah. Anna Jack Thai, by the way, great.
The fish is good. The chicken is whatever. I mean, they hype it, but yeah.
I was like, the sauce kind of makes it.
Look,
but
I'm gonna do the stereotype. Yeah. I'm black.
Okay.
Don't feed me that chicken and tell me that's like legit.
What do you think?
It's cool, but don't give me that.
Okay, so you grew up when I grew up. Pioneer chicken.
Pioneer chicken was greasy. Hella greasy.
Wow.
Golden Bird is better.
Okay.
Golden Bird was better.
Yeah.
Michael Stennis' old joint, way better. Pioneer was just too greasy. It was fine. I have somebody that worked with me that likes Pioneer better than Golden Bird, but I'm a big Louisiana guy.
Okay.
So I'm a Louisiana fried chicken guy. Obviously Popeyes is my churches used to be, but I haven't had churches forever. I don't even know where to find the churches at.
Two Pioneers left, by the way. I gotta say,
where?
I'm a Pioneer guy. Boyle Heights and Bell Gardens, by the way. It's 2 Pioneers.
So left. The one on Vermont closed across
Correct.
from
There's 2
LACC?
left. Boyle Heights, Bell Gardens.
Because I know the one on San Vicente closed. That's been like Starbucks and a whole bunch of other stuff.
Forever,
Oh,
long time.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, legit.
Pioneer Chicken.
Pioneer Chicken, LA's
Have you had
fried
Pioneer Chicken?
You got to try Pioneer, honestly. I love it.
Is the guy with the big hat? They steal the... Remember
what's his name? Pioneer Pete.
Pioneer
Pete.
Big white hat.
Absolutely. And the orange bang, all that kind of stuff. So Pioneer.
Orange Bang.
Yeah.
Remember that? Yeah.
Represent, dude. That's a crazy story. I'm going to send you that Pioneer Chicken story. So eating in LA, loving in LA. Let's go to that number 19 real quick.
Okay.
Because that's kind of a legacy of yours.
You know what's so funny?
Yeah.
One of my good friends and I talked to him, a couple of us, we all get on a group thing together and talk.
Of course.
And we talk through all the Netflix. We like old men. He tells me, because they it's like they cherish my career more so than I do. What I mean by that is they want to see me get my due with everything.
I want to see you get your due. I don't even have a
I get my due, right? But they always tell. He just told me the other day. He said, "Man, you got to stop letting these dudes out here set these narratives about what they are. Shit, you started that number 19.
Goddamn right.
And I'm like, but I don't. That's not who I am. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to push that. If you don't know it already, that's on you. If you don't know that I started those numbers and them dudes all came behind me, that's on you. I don't really care. I know what the deal is. But he always pushing me.
I think it's important, man. I get it.
I know what you're saying. No, I know what you're saying. That's the same thing he said, though. He's like, man, when you get up there, man, they start talking about them numbers and shit, you need to let them know you the one that started that.
Where did it come from?
So when I got drafted, I originally petitioned to get 3 that I had in college.
Drafted, by the way, New York Jets number 1, correct.
And so in 96, Pat Kerwin, which was the assistant general manager at the time of the New York Jets.
Okay.
His son was in the equipment room. And I was petitioned to get 3. So I wore 3 in minicamp. But the league was like, we would let him wear a team number. We don't want him to wear 3. And we was like, all right, man. So Pat Kerwin's son said, why don't you take number 19? And I was looking at him like, and he was like, you the number 1 pick, and 3 times 3 equals 9. So you should just take it and wear 19. And I was like, all right, you know what, man? I'm going to wear 19.
Okay.
I took 19 and it's lived forever.
How'd they let you get away with it? Because I didn't even know that was legal back then.
What they then did is they flooded all the 80 numbers to other players on the team.
Okay.
And so
none left.
None left. Ain't got nothing. We ain't got nothing. Ain't got no. So they started printing 19s. Okay. So now that they start printing the 19s,
and you're the first pick in the draft, so they fucking market that shit. They're making money.
And they're making money and the whole deal, and all the 80 numbers is gone. And I didn't want an 80 number anyway.
Right.
I originally tried to get 3. So if you look at some of my trading cards or some pictures of me, I'm wearing 3 in practice and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
And
then like 10 years, 15 years later, they letting everybody wear whatever numbers they want to wear.
But you don't consider that part of your legacy?
I do, but I don't talk about it, I guess.
You know what's funny? You know Tommy John, you're a baseball guy.
Yeah,
you know Tommy John was a pitcher, great pitcher. Mm-hmm. Not quite a Hall of Fame pitcher, but his numbers were awesome.
Yeah.
He's going to end up getting in the Hall of Fame because of the Tommy John surgery and because of that. And I am pounding the table on the Keyshawn Johnson Hall of Fame train. Because, by the way, look at Keyshawn's numbers. This is 11 years. Your numbers in 11 years are equivalent to anybody out there, right?
Well, well, if you look at it, 11 years, you got to look at when I retired, right?
Yeah.
So when I retired, look at the numbers of when I retired.
Right.
Don't look at the 11 years. Just look at the numbers when I retired.
Correct.
When I retired, there was only, I believe, 3 people that were in the Hall of Fame with better numbers than me at the time that I retired.
And it's a tough game for receivers, man. Henry Ellard,
but then everybody's going to pass me by because they played long.
And the game's different. And the game's different, man.
So I just be like, whatever. I played, though, to be honest with you, I played not to get a gold jacket, but to get my mom out of poverty. That's why I played.
Yeah.
Some people play for a gold jacket. I played, that's why I only played 11 years. I'm like, I'm good. I got chips. I'm good. We straight. I'm out of here. I got a Super Bowl ring. I done balled out. I went to Pro Bowls, MVPs and Pro Bowls when it was a real Pro Bowl.
Wow. When people used to fucking play.
When you played, not no flag shit. So it was like, I accomplished everything I wanted to accomplish.
Why'd you retire?
Just got tired of playing. Didn't want to play no more.
Really?
Wanted to do something different.
What'd you do immediately after?
I went to work for ESPN Countdown.
Right off the
Immediately.
bat, huh?
No training, no nothing.
You were outspoken.
I've been doing this shit 20 years now.
That's what I'm saying. You were known as outspoken. You were known as brash. You were known as opinionated. Yeah.
That's known.
Yeah.
But that's not true. It's not facts.
What do you mean?
It's not facts. Not true. Not facts.
How would you describe it?
Because I would describe it as a narrative that's being given by the media based on me writing a book. Because every single teammate of mine and every single coach that I've had would never tell you that. That's why I can leave the field and go right to television and don't miss a beat and stay right at ESPN forever. And the moment that I wasn't at ESPN, Fox looked up and said, because we know who he is and what he could be, not only on TV, but what type of person he is.
Yeah.
So when you say opinionated or brass, all I'm doing is answering a question.
Yeah.
I'm answering the question that you gave me.
You're honest.
You posed the question to me. I'm just giving you an honest answer.
Which is a big thing, though, an important thing.
That's all it is. I'm not creating anything. You asked me, hey, what about this game? What did you think? Well, here's the problem. Here's what happened. What do you want me to say? You want me to give you a stale quarterback answer?
Yeah, and then people
and then have you say, well, you
don't
talk to people. He's boring. No, not at all.
Not in your DNA.
No, I'm not. It's just, it's not. I love when people say that though. Like, oh, you were this, you were that. I'm like, no, I was such the fucking coolest dude ever. Like, just literally cool. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like the guy that people would go to when they had issues in their household and come to my house and sit. I was like, just laid back cool.
Dude, that's okay. So let's talk about this. TV.
You got more time than you're supposed to.
I know. We're wrapping up. I got two. This is important though. Talk to me about the LA Legends series.
Yes.
You launched LA Legends, which listen, speaks to my heart, man. This is where I come from. This is what I'm about. Tell me about that.
Well, the podcast, All Facts, No Breaks, is a typical pod, like me and you, right? Yeah. So it's my son, me, and we have guests.
Okay.
And so one day, the young lady, Angie, who runs the whole deal, must have been sitting at home stressed out. And so she came to me, she said, I think I got a great idea.
Yeah.
We should interview people in sports and entertainment and stuff like that that's from LA. I said, fine, because that's how I'm like, fine, whatever you want to do, just let me know. Yeah. I think it'll be fine. I know it's going to be good, so I'm not worried about it.
Right.
Just put the shit together. But she came up with the idea. And once she came up with the brilliant idea, I bought in because we're what I would call a football hiatus for a podcast. We'll start it back up in the fall with me and my son and do some stuff. But this gave us an opportunity during our downtime to come up with something a little more interesting and not be like anybody could sit between two microphones and just shoot the shit.
True story. Hate to admit it, but that's fact.
No,
correct.
So
Absolutely.
we wanted to do something totally different that isn't out there anymore. Now, here's my guess. My guess is she's created a monster and doesn't know it yet. And what'll happen is people will try to copy it, but they don't have the authenticity that we have.
Or the background. Right,
or the background. They can't speak to everything.
No way.
You see what I'm saying? So for like me, I could get Paul and Brandon Jennings and Cheryl Miller.
Give me some of the names. Yeah.
Paul Pierce, Brandon Jennings, Cheryl Miller, Baron Davis, Lancaster Correctional Facility with inmates.
Supermax. Only Supermax in LA County. Yep.
There's not a lot of people that could sit in that room and talk to those people and look them in their eyes and understand where they're coming from and get that feeling. And there's not a lot of people that can walk around on their yard with a couple security guards with people that got double life sentences and not feel threatened or feel a certain way. All of that is good, right? When you could do those sort of things and look at people in the eyes that you kind of have some history with. Whether it's Ice Cube and NWA, people that I have history with that's from LA that set a foundation for hip hop or rap music or gangster rap or whatever the people want to call it. And so when she brought the idea to me, I'm hook, line, and sinker. I'm all in. I'm ready to go. You know, it's gonna be fun though. You know, it's gonna be a fun watch, a fun listen.
When does that roll out?
I think it's the end of June. I believe it's the end of June. I don't have the dates yet.
What are the platforms?
When you say what are the platforms?
Like,
what do you
what's
mean?
it going to be? Where
It'll be on digital, FS1. Yeah, hopefully like FS1 will pick some of it up.
Yeah.
Digital for sure.
LA in a minute's going to pick some of that up. I'm going to tell you that now.
I'm sure it'll be all over the damn place.
Yeah.
June 30th.
So it'll be on June 30th.
Man, that's going to be
First
exciting.
episode,
All right.
June 30th.
All right, I know you got to run. I want a quick
Damn,
speed
June
round.
30th. I think I'm gonna be in Hawaii.
You will be.
Yeah.
Or Bora Bora. So, okay, real quick, this speed round.
Okay.
Who were your mentors growing up?
Man, the crazy thing about my mentors was really like Coach Holmes, who coached me in high school and in junior college.
Dorsey. At Dorsey?
Yeah, he was our offense coordinator at Dorsey and offense coordinator in junior college.
Okay.
He was like my mentor. My mom, obviously. Those are the two. And then I had a lot of other friends and people. There's a guy from my time spent in the correctional facility named Murphy Ruffins, who helped guide me in a certain direction. He was like one of the mentors. But for the most part, I bounced things off of all sorts of people.
What wide receivers did you look up to once you were old enough to?
None.
Really?
Woo! I mean, Michael Irvin was a friend of mine, but I never really when you say look up to, I ain't really look up to nobody. Like, right, you know
80s,
what I'm saying?
no, but like 70, like growing up there.
I like Jerry Rice and Michael Irvin.
Okay.
You know, Chris Carter to a degree.
To a degree.
Yeah, to a degree.
Okay, best coach you ever played for?
College, John Robinson, Bill Parcells in the pros.
Parcells.
Yeah.
Worst coach?
He is where are we at now? Summer. He's in Saratoga. Yeah, he might be up in Saratoga right now. Either in Saratoga or down in Jupiter.
Okay.
I'm not sure where he's at because I hadn't talked to him in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
But he's in one of them. I actually need to call. I need to really call. I hadn't talked to him in a couple weeks though.
Okay.
He calls me all the time, but he called. Like, what was the last time he called me? He called me. What did he say to me? How are you doing? Oh, I know what he called me about. He called me about the hell did Bill? He called me about something. Oh, about when Aaron Glenn, my buddy, got the job at the Jets. That's what it was.
Okay. Yeah. Best teammate?
Teammate as in what? Player or just a cool dude?
Like a guy that encapsulates whatever a great teammate is to you. Leader, pick guys up. For me, a leader.
Oh,
guy
then
picks guys up.
that would be Derek Brooks.
Wow,
Yeah,
good
Brooks,
legend.
Yeah. But like my teammates is like Brian Kelly was like played with me at SC and the Bucks.
Okay.
That was like my boy and
Yeah.
Corey Ivy, Aaron Glenn. I mean, I got a lot of those, Chris Hayes, a lot of those type guys. But the best teammate, that type of guy is Derek Brooks.
Okay, best wide receivers ever.
Best receivers ever is Jerry Rice. For me,
Yeah, for
is,
you.
is Jerry Rice, Randy Moss, Michael Irvin, and Kelvin Johnson.
Wow.
Yeah, that would probably be.
Where's Keyshawn Johnson on that list?
Man, I'm wherever they at as far as I'm concerned. I mean, you know, I didn't play. Like you talked about my quarterbacks early. If I had one of those guys for, you know, I never. If I had one of those guys for consecutive years,
Yeah.
I never had one of those guys for consecutive years.
I was doing this research before the show. I got to just read this again. I know you saw it offline. Frank Reich, Neil O'Donnell, Vinny Testaverde, Rick Maher, Brad Johnson, Rob Johnson, Sean King, Drew Bledsoe, Jake Delhomme. That's not even all of them. That's the ones that were your QB for like a multiple games, but you never had anybody that was throwing you the ball.
I never had a
season to
quarterback.
season.
I never had
Yeah.
a quarterback that finished 16 games with me. Vinny came in with like 13 games left.
Yeah. Yeah.
Brad,
And it was old Vinny.
Brad,
Old Vinny.
Brad, well,
Yeah.
I had Brad the 1 year from beginning to end, but even the year we went to the Super Bowl, he missed time. Sean King, I might have had Sean King from beginning to end. I think I may have had Sean King for 16 games, maybe. But he may have missed some games somewhere in there too. But it was always.
I didn't see any full seasons on there.
Yeah,
when
I don't
was
think
doing
so.
my
Yeah,
homework,
I
man.
probably didn't. I don't remember, but I had a lot of QBs.
Toughest DBs you lined up against?
Well, Deion Sanders, Champ Bailey, Ty Law, Sam Madison, Patrick Surtain, Aeneas Williams.
Deion as good as advertised though, for real.
Yeah. Deion, the best dude ever.
Most fun you ever had on a football field?
Winning the Super Bowl.
Really? Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
winning you know what? Yeah, winning the Super Bowl was the most fun, but I had a lot of fun when I won the division title when my first year winning our division title and then beating Jacksonville in the divisional round when I went nuts. That was, that's when he arrived though. At that point, boy, if you was married to me, you didn't want to be married to me. Not at that point.
Here's a question. Do you feel you reached your potential?
I reached my potential based on what I was given, right? The quarterbacks, all that sort of stuff. Ooh. I mean, had I played with the same guy for consecutive years, who knows?
Different.
It could have been different. I mean, it could have been different. But look, at the end of the day, if you play 11 years and you got 11,000 yards and whatever 60-something touchdowns and you won a Super Bowl and you got whatever 900 catches or whatever it is with all those different quarterbacks and you made money and you commercial. Look, first of all, outside of Deion Sanders, when was the last time you've known a football player to have a signature shoe? Deion and who else?
Bo.
But that's the same era. Yeah. But that's the same era.
Right.
That's the same era.
Yeah, good point.
So, like for me to have signature shoes and, all, and commercials and constant, like, it's, people don't get that. But I don't never really talk about it.
Right.
I'll let you do your own research on who I was and what I'm about. You know what I'm saying? Like, we played a clip the other day of me in Living Single with Queen Latifah. And we was joking about it, right, beforehand, because they didn't know.
Yeah.
And they just, I guess it was something about LeBron James, and he was talking about being an actor. And then they Googled to see if we had done some stuff, and they producers pulled it.
Yeah.
And they was like, "Damn, Key, you done a lot of shit." I said, "Man, I'm him. I just don't talk about it." You know what I'm saying? If you didn't see it, I ain't gonna be bringing this shit up.
Right.
I don't need to pat myself on the back.
Fair enough.
But yeah, I've done a lot. I've done a lot. I'm happy with my career.
Right now, best wide receivers, active.
Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, AJ Brown, T. Higgins for my money, Devontae Smith. I know I'm missing some dudes that'll be mad.
It's a good list.
Yeah, but you always hate, man. You don't talk about me.
All right, wrapping it up. What do you see as your legacy? Keyshawn Johnson legacy.
I'm not done.
Ooh.
Like, look, here's one for you, and you can appreciate this. My longtime business partner, sports agent, lawyer, the whole deal. He says to me all the time. He goes, "You tell me," because we constantly are trying to make sure to reinvent the wheel and make sure that the wheel is still turning.
Yeah.
You ain't talking about Magic Johnson, okay? That's over here. You talking about Los Angeles, born, raised, breed, the whole deal.
Yeah.
Who's had it better than me? Think about that. You from the city. You go to college in the city, you graduate in the city, you got off the field, crazy endeavors, you rebuild in South Central LA with shopping center, like you're just doing a lot. You've been in TV for 20 years, you won the Super Bowls, Rose Bowls, you done all. LA, we're not talking about coming from Michigan to LA.
Yeah.
We're just talking about LA person that captivate that audience.
Yeah.
And so whatever that is at the end of the day, that's what that legacy is. At the end of the day, that's what it is. And I'm not even done yet.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm just, as they say, I'm just getting started.
Dude, well, look, that's why we're here. This is LA in a Minute with Evan Lovett. LA in a Minute. And man, a product of Los Angeles that's making us all made us all proud, but continuing to make us all proud. Keyshawn Johnson, man, thank you for coming into the studio, man.
Anytime.
Appreciate you. This was awesome.
Clapping.
Subscribe, like, share with your friends. Oh, anywhere we need to follow you, look. I know you're not like super
FS1, All Facts No Breaks. My social media, you can follow me on it, but I don't post the type of stuff that most people want.
Yeah.
I'm not a big social media TikTok guy, all that old stuff. I kind of like, I know everybody else, but I try to.
All right.
I try to just lay low.
And then LA Legends kicking off June 30th. So this is going to be perfect. This is this week as far as when this episode is going to air. So LA Legends, make sure you catch that literal LA legend right here. Thank you, Keyshawn Johnson.
Appreciate it.
It's been a minute.
Yes.
Thank you, guys.